A general piece of advice when it comes to audio that has been super helpful is that going over 0 dB in OBS is peaking, so it will hard cut at 0. If you think about like in a mic, if you were to shout into a mic, you can imagine that maybe it can get most of what you're doing, but no matter how much louder you get, there's a point at which it can't like transmit any signal past whatever amount of volume. Think of it similarly within OBS, that whatever is past this volume, it just will not transmit, and therefore, when you go over 0 dB, it actually sounds a great deal like peaking in a mic. So just don't go over 0. Easy enough. We will just keep this in mind as we go along. All right. Noise suppression. This one is like, just don't really care about this that much. It is actually very useful, but not related to what we're talking about right now. Equalizers as well. I've been messing with them some. You can hear that there is a decent amount of difference, in my mind anyway, a decent amount of difference between this with equalizers, my voice, and without. Not like so massive that it's crazy noticeable, but it does have an impact. Might be worth looking into. Again, not really what we're focused on right now. I want to kind of quickly get into the actually important part, which is limiters and compressors. For microphone and my other audio, they're a little different, so I have to explain each just a bit. But limiters, just in general, think of this as anything above the limiter. So we have it at -1 dB. Anything above that is going to be harshly compressed, which is, it might sound bad, but it is being compressed, but it's not as bad as if it was just outright cut off. So it's a better alternative that saves you some of the kind of awful sound. You should just always have a limiter at -1 dB on any thing of audio, as far as I can tell. It seems very helpful. Let's move on to the compressor. This is kind of the essence of everything. This is the important thing, okay? Compressor, output gain, that is simply just like a volume slider. Think of it like that and leave it at that, I would say. Ratio and threshold. These are the two important ones. Attack and release are pretty simple. Attack and release are just like, how quickly after the sound starts do you start impacting said sound? How quickly after you stop making that level of sound do you stop compressing that track, let's say, the audio? Okay, easy enough, attack and release. Ratio and threshold, this is actually kind of the point. Ratio is how much do I want to compress the audio. Threshold is when do I want to start compressing the audio. So only after going above -15 dB do I start compressing the audio. On my end, that's what I'm going for. That way it's just when I'm talking, and it's just when I talk loud enough that I can get to this point, because compression doesn't really sound good. It doesn't sound so noticeable. You might not even notice it right now. 3:1 to 5:1. That's like, you're not really going to hear much at all there, but it still has a pretty good impact. 3:1 is on the lightest side of that. You could bump it up to 4 or 5, and you'd be okay. But I'm trying to keep it as low as I can, because I really don't want any negative effects on my audio. This is what I've been working on in terms of getting my mic to have both better quality, of course, but also to not peak, because peaking is really bad. It sounds awful. And at the same time, though, I want to make sure I'm in the right zone where my audio is, like you might make in a video, where it is optimized for YouTube, is at this higher level. You pull up a video, right-click it, stats for nerds. You can see in the top left here, this person has theirs at -0.6. That is unusually very well done. Who's actually is similar to that, to be honest, for the videos. But for a stream, this is not super practical. It'd be hard to get there. Still, I hope this will end up being closer to that point. Let's say like -1, -2, -3. In that area is okay with me, especially if I'm not peaking, gosh dang it. Now there's a second thing. So all that is the first thing. Second thing starts now. Within audio, something I notice is if I'm in a larger group of people, how do I make it so that when they're talking and I'm talking, let's say I want to respond to chat. This is something that Angry Dad brought up to me. If I'm responding to my chat, I'm muting myself, I'm responding to my chat, but I still want to have the other people's voices in the background. That's okay, but what if their voices and my voice are around the same level? Now you can't really hear me, or maybe even they're louder. Now you can't even hear me responding to chat if you're in chat. So a solution to this is to do something called audio ducking. Luckily for us, it's very similar. All right, limiter, compressor, we're back again. Limiter, same as before, just always have a limiter for any audio line so that you don't hit 0 dB. Because anything above 0 dB, like hitting 0 dB and going beyond, means peaking. So bad, so let's just put a limiter there no matter what. Move on from that. Compressor. Okay, we're back to ratio, threshold, attack, release, output gain. Output gain, I have it -5. The idea here with that and a decently high ratio is that when I'm talking, I don't want other sound to go over me no matter what. So when he's talking and I'm talking at the same time, you should be able to hear me over Aliens Rock, basically no matter what here. However, when I stop talking...
I think I have bombs. What the hell?
You can hear him swing back in, and as I start talking, I swing back in. It's pretty good. I think it should work pretty well at this point. I did some testing with it. Ideally, it's at the right point, but it is really hard to get this exactly where I want it, I'll admit. Now, This compressor, the reason it works the way it just worked is because I have the ducking source, I have it tied to my microphone. Audio is tied to my mic. We'll go to ratio. Ratio is quite high this time. How I said 3 to 5 is perfect. That is for my, like, for your own voice. For this, it's like, I want to push them into being background noise, much like I want to maybe in a thumbnail. I want to have a subject and I want to push the background to be a background, not to be a set of subjects. I want to make sure the subject itself pops, and therefore I might blur the background in a thumbnail. Here I'm sort of blurring the background noise, the other voices, the other effects, the other sounds, to be more background so you can make sure you hear me. Then attack and release, the last piece to cover here. Attack is how soon after, in this case, I start talking, you going to impact the other source here. Be very fast, right? So as soon as I start talking, I want to make sure I'm being heard. On top of that, though, we also have release. Release is a little different this time. So the point of release here, I could have this lower down to, let's say, like a millisecond, like make it super small. Then as soon as I stop talking, audio in the background is going to jump up, and then I start talking again, and it jumps back down. And then I take a brief pause, jumps back up, and then I start talking and it jumps back down. That's pretty like jarring, right? Like if you imagine I'm kind of fighting back and forth with control of the stream in a way with my own audio. So I have a little bit more of a break here. Why not have a break all the way to 1,000 milliseconds? I could do that. I have the option. Let's say I'm chatting with Hoosfoos and I'm saying something and then Hoos says something after me. Well, as long as it's kind of lower of a release here, I say something, then Hoos starts talking, and pretty much immediately you hear him at full volume. But if I had it at full, then yeah, you would have maybe the first word or even two that are like super muted, then suddenly he jumps up in audio. That sounds pretty jarring too. So it's this nice middle ground. The same as every other thing here. Everything is about finding this perfect middle ground where your sound is good, where other things sound good, sound in the right kind of area, work on YouTube, whatever. But yeah, don't go too high or go too low.